Hey guys, King Charms here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today I bring to you the basic win conditions video on how to win in Pokemon Go PvP. In this video, I'm going to be telling you of what is a win condition, basic ways to win in Pokemon Go PvP. There are 2 basic ways to win. And then I'll be making a separate video for advanced win conditions. Win conditions is a term you probably hear throughout all of esports if you're in this stage. I've been through part of esports through several years, and of course I've talked to a team, so yes. So with that being said, there are ways, and win conditions go through all of the games like real-time strategy games, RTS, MOBAs, multiplayer online battle arena games. You also have card games, TCG, like Pokemon. Like Pokemon, you have Pokemon the main series games, turn-based games, TCG, traditional card games. All of them have in competitive formats where you have people on the big stages of esports. Halo, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Fortnite, all the shooter games. They all have something called a win condition. And I will be exploring the basic win conditions again in this video. These are the basic ways to win in Pokemon Go. And I'll be making separate videos for advanced win conditions, because it gets really complicated sometimes. I want to simplify it, and I'm going to congest everything into something that's really easy to understand. And so, before I get started, I have something called the mental health tip of the day. And my mental health tip of the day is to be curious. Always be curious. More often than not, as therapists, it's important for you to have empathy. You will never completely understand your client as a therapist. However, it's helpful to say things like, I don't understand, but I wish to understand. So I don't understand a situation completely. I don't understand you completely, but I want to understand as much from your perspective as much as possible. Again, I will never understand everything, but it's the same thing with your opponent. You will never understand in Pokemon Go PvP what your opponent is going to try to do unless you've been practicing for a very, very long time and do a whole lot of things. So, with that being said, make sure you always keep a curious mind. You always keep learning and exploring so that you can seek to learn more about Pokemon Go PvP through your eyes and through the eyes of others. I learn from other people all the time, and I learn through my own practice. And of course, I still study and practice a lot, even though I'm really good at the game already, even though I've beaten God knows how many #1 leaderboard players, former legends, Sylph legends, etc., blah blah blah, which however you want to call it. I'm still practicing, still studying. I still have a very curious mind, and I apply that through therapy, I apply that through MMA, I apply that through life. Always be curious, and it's good for your mental health as well, because if you have mental illness or you think you do, there's always ways to seek help. However, if you aren't curious and you don't seek to explore yourself, then you will never get better, or you will never find the way to get better. So be curious. Just like for this video for win conditions, you need to be creative to create win conditions, and you need to always be willing to learn. So if you're watching this video, that means you already know these or you're willing to learn them. So without further ado, let's get started. So what's a win condition? Well, generally a win condition is everything you need to do to win a game and everything in between. So how to win the game, basically, and keeping and meeting the criteria you need to do in order to win a game. I like this definition by Mobile Analytics. I'm gonna put the article in the link here. But as you see, a win condition is a strategic goal or a set of goals that you are trying to achieve because they represent the best path to attain victory. Your win condition guides your thought process and changes you as time moves on. Think of it as your plan A, which can lead to plan B, C, D, and so on. In Pokemon Go PvP, you want to create as many win conditions as possible for you. This is the basic guide. I'll be doing another video for advanced win conditions, but these are the basic ways to win and the basic routes and blueprints you're gonna go off of in order to win games in Pokemon Go PvP. I like the example here for Hearthstone. So if you're trying to make comparisons to other games, a card game like Hearthstone, you have hundreds of cards to choose from and build a deck of 30 cards. With so many possibilities, you have to build around certain themes and archetypes in order to make a competitive deck. Good example in Hearthstone, aggressive decks excel at rushing your opponent down and overwhelm them with many low-cost creatures. Your opponent isn't ready for it and can't stabilize time. They can only beat it only in a few turns. So you rapidly beat the unholy crap out of your opponent so they can't come back for the W. That's why it's key to be aggressive in Pokemon Go PvP, because being aggressive can throw your opponent off, throw their timing off, and wane their confidence. Now, I like this also. What I like about this article from Mobile Analytics is that little second paragraph right there. Achieving win conditions doesn't mean you guaranteed victory, because your opponent's going to keep trying to fulfill their own win conditions, and because some win conditions counter others. But in general, if you follow your win condition, you have a much higher chance of getting the W. Again, you want to create as many win conditions as possible, but again, like over here what the article explains, your opponent's going to be continuously finding win conditions against you. So that's why sometimes it really is who's faster than the other person, or who is able to be more creative. The other one is who's going to be able to keep the W. Or you're going to be really good at keeping your opponent from getting their win condition before you get taken down in the first place. In general, win conditions is how you win the freaking game. There's a lot of crazy things you can do in Pokemon Go PvP so that you can achieve your win condition. But this video is the basic win condition. So these are the basic ways you're going to win. And like I mentioned again, the basic blueprints you need to follow in order to win in Pokemon Go PvP. Learn these, and then you can add on, be super creative, and then you can move on to the advanced video that I'm going to create for advanced win conditions in Pokemon Go PvP. Alright, so how do you win in Pokemon Go PvP? There are two general ways to win. One, you make all your opponent's Pokemon faint. Or, if you want the non-PG-13 version, you beat the unholy crap out of them, you go Super Saiyan, you summon all of the power from the universe, and then you gather them in something in the form called the Spirit Bomb. And yes, I'm talking about Dragon Ball Z, and I am an anime nerd, so if you are of the following, we can also be best friends. And please follow my content, because I make anime references as well as therapy-based references all the time. Spirit Bomb goes off, and then boom, and then you beat the big villain, etc. Or, you just outright kill all your opponent's Pokemon. Beat them to death, make sure you leave no one alive, and always choose violence. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But in general, make all your opponent's Pokemon faint. You take out all three of their Pokemon, that's GG's, you win. Win number 2 of how to win in Pokemon, or method number 2, is to run the clock to time out your opponent. Battles are generally 5 minutes long. I'm not sure if that changed in the future lately, but generally they are 5 minutes long. And you will fire a bazillion charge moves, you will run the clock, you beat the unholy crap out, and if it's longer than 5 minutes, then someone wins by time's up. You'll see something called time's up as you see here in the window. I put 2 examples here of make your opponent and then run the clock. And if that happens, as you see time's up, there are certain conditions, but whoever has basically more HP percentage and whoever has more Pokemon in the end will win. And I put examples like that later in this video. But yes, you run out the clock, you time them out, you win. Again, 2 general ways to win. 1, you faint all your opponent's Pokemon, and 2, you run the clock and you time out your opponent. Alright, so here's my basic win conditions video. And I'm going to do advanced win conditions for another video, or multiple videos, just because you've likely been playing PvP for a while. If you're looking for advanced win conditions, because there are really creative ways and really advanced win conditions to where, again, if you've been playing for a while, you can figure them out. But here are the basic ones. If you're new to PvP, or if you've been playing PvP for a while, you are pretty familiar with these. My favorite one, or your not favorite one, is rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Basically, what this means is that your opponent's mons, your Pokemon beat your opponent's mons really hard. In this case, as you see here, my Shiftry beats my opponent's Azumarill. Then I have Deoxys Defense, as you see here, into the Shiftry. Deoxys Defense beats Shiftry really hard as long as you have shield, so beat this matchup really hard. And then in the closer, I have Galarian Stunfisk versus Alolan Marowak. So, rock, paper, scissors. Shiftry beats Azumarill really hard, Deoxys Defense beats Shiftry really hard, G-Fisk beats AWAC really hard in multiple shield scenarios, and all G-Fisk has to do against AWAC is basically hit an Earthquake. As you see in this battle, we get our Shiftry into the Azumarill. They say switch into their Shiftry. I send in my Deoxys Defense, punch down their Shiftry. Now I have all this energy in the back with the Azumarill. Azumarill has a shield, but it doesn't really matter. I'm doing a little fancy thing here. I'm going to send in G-Fisk, my Galarian Stunfisk, or Darth Pancake, to take this Hydro Pump, and then I'm going to send in Shiftry. Shiftry has a bunch of energy. All I'm going to do is I'm going to send in Shiftry, as you see here, and Shiftry has all this energy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bait this last shield, and then I'm going to fire Foul Play to KO my opponent's Alolan Marowak. After that, all I have to do is Leaf Blade the Azumarill in the back, and that's GG's. As you see here, Foul Play goes off. You catch your opponent. Even if they have a move, I have some CMP, charge move priority. Again, more advanced PvP turns and stuff later on. But for basic win conditions, as you see here, the basic win condition is set. Shiftry lines up against Azumarill. This is what I mean by keep alignment. You keep alignment. What alignment means is you just keep everything fancy, you know, just keep everything in place. And as you see here, you come out with the win condition of rock, paper, scissors. My Pokemon beat my opponent's Pokemon really hard, and there you go. I win. it's gonna be like that for sometimes, like, it can feel like really redundant because you get run into just rock, paper, scissors, but that's just how Pokemon Go Battle League is. The next one is basic win condition 2 is winning switch/switch advantage. As you see here, I'm going to switch into my Mewtwo and attempt to take back switch as my opponent's Sense and Giratina altered. And all I'm going to do here is go straight Side Strike. Because I have so much energy from that previous matchup of Mewtwo into that Dialga, all I have to do is Side Strike to victory. I call my opponent's Dragon Claw here, which is perfect. I hit the Side Strike, and then I take back switch. Now I have my Rhyperior against that Dialga, and then I have my Hydreigon against my opponent's Mewtwo. Hydreigon beats Mewtwo, Rhyperior beats Dialga. It's that simple. As you see, win back switch, send in Rhyperior. In the one shield, all I have to do is expend one shield right here, and then I can fully farm down this Dialga. My opponent switches into their Mewtwo. In this case, I will just switch into Hydreigon. And like I mentioned, winning switch. When your lead loses against their lead, and your closer loses against their closer, but you win switch, so you just realign everything. So because of that, we have alignment. Alignment, as you see here, and all I have to do is just basically let my Hydreigon go, and then I can send in Rhyperior for the W. And that's GG's. Dark Pulse goes off, my Hydreigon goes down, and all I have to do is just farm down. My opponent has an Iron Head, but it doesn't really matter. Iron Head goes off, but all I have to do is just farm down for the W, and that's GG's. Basic win condition 2. Win switch, keep switch advantage, and then poof. Those are the two general ways you win. This is also a general way to win, which is timing out. This is actually more advanced, but because Pokemon Go PvP wins either by, again, fainting all your opponent's Pokemon or timing out your Pokemon, as you see here, you can actually run the clock. Pokemon Go PvP battles are generally 5 minutes long, and as you see here, all I'm doing is just running the clock against my opponent. You use this by using a lot of charge move pressure/debuffs, as you see here, or you just get really creative. As you see here, all I'm going to do is beat down my opponent to where Snorlax is almost dead, and then I'm not going to attack at all. I'm going to have my opponent run the clock for me by superpowering me. And as you see here, you just run the clock. My opponent has to fire one more superpower, and before they get to it, I just pound down. You pound down. When shields are down, you go to Pound Town, or Blissey takes you to Pound Town. As you see here, I line up Cresselia against this Giratina, and all I'm doing is firing multiple charge moves or manipulating the battle so that your opponent fires charge moves, like you saw over there. And now as you see here, my opponent sends in this Alolan Muck, but that's perfectly fine. We're just going to keep running the clock by firing as many charge moves as humanly possible. I still have Suicune in the back. As you see here, we set the win condition. There are two general ways to win with timeout. One, you have more HP percentage than your opponent. In other words, if you have the same amount of Pokemon, but you have more overall HP percentage, you win the game. If you have more Pokemon than your opponent at the end of the game than your opponent does, you win the game. In this case, I'm showcasing win condition number 2 with timeout. As in, I have 3 Pokemon left, and my opponent only has 2 Pokemon left, as you see here. I'm going to send in and realign in all of this, and as you see here, basically what's going to end up happening, I catch a Gunk Shot, which is hilarious. I farm down my opponent, and in the end, as you see here, I have 2 Pokemon. My opponent only has 1 Giratina left. I fire this last Bubble Beam, I run the clock, and that's GG's. Again, timing out, 2 basic ways to win, more overall percentage or more Pokemon. And the most important one of win conditions, a tip for win condition, basic or advanced, is to keep learning, studying, practicing. Believe in yourself, be creative, be aggressive, and never give up. As you see here, this is a really important thing about never giving up. I have my Altaria here against my opponent's Mantine. This is terrible. You actually lose this really hard because your opponent can actually get an Ice Beam. If Ice Beam hits, you're in a lot of danger. So then you have to be really fancy. As you see, I called the shield wrong. My Altaria is almost KO'd. I tried to get to another Sky Attack. I do. And my opponent will either 1 shield or 2, they're going to let it go. But either way, I'm going to have to switch immediately so that my Altaria doesn't go off. Altaria goes down, I switch into my own Mantine, and my opponent fires a move. I don't shield because this might be Bubble Beam. Again, being creative, I need to save my shields, and it's an Ice Beam. I have shield advantage here, and all I'm going to do is try to gather a lot of energy, and I'm going to debuff my opponent using Bubble Beam. This is resisted, but again, I believe in myself. I'm being creative, and again, be aggressive. Never give up. Keep learning, practicing, and you study. As you see here, my opponent gets a Bubble Beam off. That's fine. I'm going to fully farm down. Be creative, remember? Farm down this Mantine. I have shield advantage. I have 2 shields. 2-1 to my opponents. And as you see here, I'm going to fire off this. I'm going to go send in my G-Fisk. I'm going to queue this Ice Beam so I could fire it off later on. This way I clear the debuffs, and all I'm going to do is hope that I do have a positive matchup against my opponent's back row mon. As you see here, again, be creative. Galarian Stunfisk is able to beat Abomasnow pretty hard, especially since Rockfly does super effective damage. I'm going to gather a bunch of energy here. I'm going to keep firing. I'm going to eat this second one though, and I'm going to save my shield because I don't know what my opponent has in the back. Again, believe in myself and be aggressive. I'm going to try to fire off my second one, and I do. This is either going to take my opponent's shield or we're going to do heavy damage. So I'm hoping that I have a positive match against my opponent in the back. They in fact shield. So I'm like, oh, what the heck? Then they happen to have a Drifblim in the back, and this is great. As you see here, I'm going to fire off this Rock Slide, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to combo. Remember that Ice Beam IQ and the creativity? I'm gonna gather a little more energy here. I'm gonna let my G-Fisk eat a move, as you see here. And actually, no, I'm gonna shield this Icy Wind, and then I'm gonna have to eat a move later on. But as you see here, I'm gonna gather to a Rock Slide. I combo in for my Mantine, and I fire off this Ice Beam. This will KO, and now I have a Rock Slide banked. Ice Beam goes off. My opponent sends in Abomasnow. So Abomasnow comes in, and then I try to get to an Ice Beam, but my opponent is able to get to a move. If my opponent has two... I'm hoping I can survive another Weather Ball because my opponent will likely have two Weather Balls here. They get a Weather Ball, they get an extra energy move off, and then they fire a Weather Ball because Abomasnow wins CMP against G-Fisk, meaning their move will go first before mine. Weather Ball goes off, but by 1 HP in a dream, my G-Fisk lives. This Rock Slide goes off and it will KO. Again, keep practicing, keep studying, believe in yourself, be creative. So important to find win conditions like you saw in this match. Be aggressive and never give up. Keep battling until it's over. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, these are basic win conditions, so now you know the basic way to win in Pokemon Go PvP. Some people don't actually know about the timeout piece. That's because the seasons go on and more Pokemon enter the Pokemon Go PvP meta. It gets harder and harder to let timeout wins go off. If you recognize that you can win by timeout, that's great. However, again, timeout wins are over here, but over time, as a meta gets more congested and more powerful Pokemon get created, then you can't find that timeout win condition. Usually it's just a faint win condition. Beat the unholy crap out of your opponent, faint all their Pokemon, and so that you say GG's. Well, it's always GG's, but GG's, well played, and then you come out with a W. But again, remember the tips, remember these basic win conditions, and I will be making an advanced win conditions video in the future for those of you that already been playing PvP for a while, and a more complete list. I will try to make the most complete list as possible for win conditions, advanced win conditions in Pokemon Go PvP for my next video when win conditions come out for advanced win conditions. They might be put out into smaller segments because I don't want to put too much information in one video so that could overwhelm you. I think this is a good enough If you have other PvP tips, etc. that you would like to see or you would like me to create, please put it in the comments below. And speaking of helping out the channel other than the comments, for the YouTube algorithm, please like and subscribe. It's totally free. Next to the little box right there, the bottom right that says subscribe, put your mouse over it and you can easily subscribe from over there. I really appreciate my current subscribers. I love my community. I appreciate you guys to death. If you'd like to learn more, or if you would like to learn something else, again, put it in the comments below. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.